We have one loyal follower out there watching us, but I don't know who it is. Could be anybody. Could be one of the bad guys.
It's probably me.
Well, no. There are no. Okay, there were 3. Now there are 2. Somebody clicked on and went away. No, he's back. Who is it? Why do they keep clicking on and off? Anyway, let's see where we're at here. We're at. Where are we at? Okay, so I came upon an Eric Hovind video, and make me big again. Make Mikey big again. Geological scam that hijacked science, and of course, if I see something like that, I'm clicking it, man. I could not resist.
It's a scam.
So it turns out to be this guy, Terry Mortenson, who I'd never heard of before. And Terry, I wonder if what would happen if I did this? ChatGPT. Oh, I got his profile on ChatGPT.
So this turns out to be is not a geologist. He has a PhD in the history of geology, but no degrees in geology, and a degree in math, a degree in systematic theology, which is religion, and then this PhD in history of geology.
Yep. And the PhD in history of geology he got in his 40s, and he has worked all of his life, all of his professional life has been worked with that crew. What is that again?
It used to be Campus Crusade for Christ. I don't know what CRU
stands these days. Yeah, it still is. Yeah. So he's worked in campus, and then I think he crossed over to creationism, and he wrote a few books. So that's his whole thing. And so I'm not too impressed with his knowledge of geology, and I thought, but I got a whole bunch of interesting stuff here on geologists. It's you, Ryan Murphy. I'll be AFK, but never miss a chance to hear the Hovinds get knocked out of it. Okay.
Well, apparently CRU is just short for Crusade, and it's just the renaming of Campus Crusade for Christ.
Yep. I'm going to go do this and do this. Can I do this? I can do this. How come that didn't work? How come it didn't make me full screen? Huh. Well, we'll do that first. Well, you got to click that first. You always have to go back to those 2 horizontal or 2 vertical us's, the little Scott and Mike icons there. Those are our special icons. Oh my. We got some issues here. Oh, what the fuck? Oh, okay. Got it. So then in the middle, I've got a bunch of bookmarks for this video. But first of all, we want to talk about this one part here. And I think I've got it queued up.
Rocks don't bend. All the bent rock layers and things that I went down and I saw with you right there at the Grand Canyon, going through Grand Canyon. So it feels like science is now rescuing, our scientists, creation scientists are rescuing science from the atheistic view that it's been born in, especially in the world of geology, I guess, including biology as well, in modern times. So I'm thankful for that, but this is what it was born into.
Yeah. So the thing about this is, Scott, if you listen to what he said, okay, the rocks don't bend. You go down to the Grand Canyon, and now they're rescuing science because these guys got into their 2001 Honda, and they drove over to the Grand Canyon, and they looked at the rocks and they said, "Hey, these rocks are bent." Well, that proves that it was mud at one time, because rocks don't bend. And they rescued us because none of the scientists, none of the geologists for the last 200 years or thousands of years ever noticed that the rocks were bent. Isn't that amazing? I mean, we got to thank these guys.
It's just amazing.
Maybe they all had cataract surgery like I did, and they couldn't see the goddamn guy. I don't know.
Could be. They could have had cataract surgery in camp, and then just kind of crawled out to look upon and didn't notice that they were bent.
Yep, this could be it. Okay, so I went ahead and took a look at whether the rocks bend or not. And I think I got to do this and then that. And then I'm going to get rid of this stuff with banner style. Oh, I'm getting so good at this StreamYard stuff. I'm so good. It's awesome. Oh, thunder out there where you are?
We've had some, but not right now.
Okay. You kind of read that? I thought I'd have a conversation with where is it here? Ganesh. G-N-E. This isn't the only rock that does it, but it's one of the rocks that does it. So there is a rock called Nice. Ain't that nice? There's a young Earth creationist called Nice Girl, and Nice Girl has a degree in geology, and we argued about this shit about 5 years ago in 2020. I haven't gotten back to them yet, but anyway, I think, how could you have the name Nice Girl and not know about nice and not know what it implies for this whole idea that rocks don't bend?
So she didn't know about nice with the GNEI?
Yeah, no.
But she's not a trained geologist.
I know.
That's just that's a basic term, I believe.
I'll be damned. What is going on, Scott? Wow, that's weird. I just found something new. Anyway, back to this. Okay, here's the reality. Rocks behave in two ways. Brittle deformation, they fracture, faults, joints, shattered layers. Ductile deformation, they fold, warp, and flow without breaking. Ductile behavior happens when a rock is under immense pressure. Go away, ChatGPT, damn it. Immense pressure and elevated temperature, typically kilometers below the surface. Over millions of years, sedimentary layers behave less like dry crackers. You remember Dr. Crackers, who just passed away this year? And more like cold putty or stiff taffy. You remember Dr. Crackers?
I do remember Dr. Crackers.
I believe he died. He cracked his last cracker. In the Grand Canyon, you can directly observe bent strata to Pete's sandstone, which they fucking love, right? That's their famous one. Vishnu schist. So there's sandstone, schist, and a few other things. My favorite example is, do I have them here? Bent crystal. Yeah, these are different pictures of gneiss. So everybody's seen these rocks. You got these bands, and what you got here is you got quartz bands that are basically deformed. And if those crystals, okay, those are quartz crystals, right? Quartz crystals would not deform in mud. The quartz crystal would hold its shape and its place, and it wouldn't deform in mud. But in gneiss, we find that the crystals themselves are deformed. They will form lens-like shapes. If they're a disc type crystal, or they have a little bit of length to them, they can be deformed into what looks like a lens. And we know this, and it gets a little bit into it here a little bit later. But okay, rocks don't bend. So we'll go through that. These folds did not happen during the Fast Island flood. A catastrophic flood produces chaotic deposits, mixed layers, and poorly sorted debris, angular fragments, and structural collapse. I don't know how they get this, that the flood laid down these layers of sediment. It would have to be an interesting flood to do that, but they believe it. Okay, so there's language. Colorado River carved the canyon, blah, blah, blah. Okay, What kind of solid evidence do we have for rocks bending without cracking? Crystals in gneiss. So, crystals in gneiss are one of the cleanest, hardest pieces of evidence that rocks can deform plastically without cracking. They are not the only ones. They are simply the most visually unambiguous. So let's see, when geologists say rocks bend, they are not speaking metaphorically. They're describing solid state flow. Now, I've heard people talk about, they'll have like one of these, I don't know if you remember those old table saws that were really heavy. They weighed about, like 300-400 pounds. And they leave them in their garage for 20, 30 years. And the concrete would bend underneath the saw. So then when you wash your garage out, you'd have a pool of water underneath it. So concrete does this also. And I believe glass does it to some extent, but I'm not totally sure about that. That may have been debunked. Mineral elongation and crystal stretching is a problem that they have. So if you've got a crystal, why would a crystal be bent? Because crystals don't exist in a mud state. Okay? There's no mud form of a quartz crystal. It has to be hard. So if they're in, like if you take, I'll just take a crystal, like an amethyst crystal, put it inside a piece of clay, flatten it out, and then bend it. Is the crystal going to bend? So that's not a rhetorical question, Scott.
Well,
I'm genuinely. You're not paying attention.
You might make that argument. Yeah. No, I'm looking at the side chats.
Okay.
And I was thinking about that candy bar analogy.
Yeah, but okay. Yeah, it may come from the old English, but I bet they didn't say it right. Right? I don't know how they said it. I blew by the etymology. So anyway, let's see. Okay. Cat, I don't need you, kitty, right now. Don't need no kitties. Okay. So quartz and feldspar crystals are pulled into lens-shaped forms. They're called oggen, right here. These were once roughly equant grains. Oh my God. Do you know what equant means? I do not know that word. Do you? Thor?
Don't know the word. Never heard of it.
No. Oh my God.
But
no, Thor. No, Thor. Go. No. Go. Yeah.
An equal grainer crystal is one that has roughly equal dimensions in all directions, appearing stubby, blocky, or nearly spherical rather than elongated or flattened.
Okay, that makes sense. Equant. I just never seen the word used that way before. They are now elongated ellipses. If the rock had merely fractured, you would see broken shards. Instead, you see continuous, smoothly stretched crystals. That is, and ChatGPT forgot the part where if you put that equant crystal in mud and you bent it, the crystal's not going to bend. The crystal's going to pop through the mud. It's actually going to would actually stick out of the mud, right? But it would not bend itself. So crystal lattice distortion, under polarized light microscopy, mineral crystals show undulose extinction. Now, I didn't know what that was either. But if you look at it and you slowly turn the crystal, all of a sudden it will go black, and it does it smoothly. It goes from, I think, like it distorts the light smoothly. Whereas if you had a undeformed crystal, it would switch on and off instead of going smoothly. So I get into that a little bit later. So that's proof that these crystals are bent, even if they don't look bent to you. That's proof that it does. So crystal lattice distortion, let's see. Yeah, okay. This happens because the crystal lattice itself has been bent at the atomic level. The crystal is still one crystal and it's not shattered into pieces. Its internal structure has been warped. Recrystallization at depth, minerals dissolve slightly along high stress boundaries and precipitate where stress is lower. This is called pressure solution and dynamic recrystallization. And that happens with all metamorphic rocks. So that's how we know. That's how we know they're wrong. Because if you okay, there's your average geologist who goes out in the field and cracks rocks, and then there are geophysicists, and they are a mean bunch of dudes who never talk to anybody. They never let them out of the laboratory to actually talk to the public. And geophysicists study these this pressure solution and recrystallization. And I've got books. I have book after book after book, as Donnie would say, paper after paper. The rock literally regrows itself while being deformed, allowing it to fold without cracking. And of course, it would not do that in mud because there wouldn't be any pressure. If you bend mud and you have a hard crystal in it, there's no pressure, young Earth creations, on the crystal because mud is just going to bend itself. It's going to dissipate the pressure. Field scale evidence. You can walk up the outcrops. There's a bare outcrop in the woods. Layered strata form tight, continuous folds. Individual beds curve smoothly to multiple meters, no fracture. So I think ChatGPT totally missed the point about the mud. So a cracked rock preserves discontinuity. A bent rock preserves continuity. Nature gives us continuity. Yeah, that's kind of cute. Oh, another word roots. Nice comes from the German nice, probably derived from Middle High German. See? Not English. Okay. Middle High German neist, meaning spark or hard stone. And then crystal comes from crystallos. Ductile comes from ducere or ducere, to lead or draw. I think it's maybe, you know Latin, don't you, Scott?
I don't what?
Latin.
I do not know Latin. I do not.
You didn't learn that in your seminary college?
Did not. I'm sure there was a course or two in it, but I only took the Greek and the Hebrew.
Yep. So these are the deformed single crystals that remain intact, microscopically warped crystal lattices, smooth continuous folds at every scale from millimeters to mountain ranges. That's interesting. It's at different scales. Metamorphic fabrics that can only form through prolonged pressure and heat. The idea that they must shatter like dry ceramic is folk intuition, not physics, not mineralogy, not reality. I love the way ChatGPT
is people who did not take the time or maybe could not take the time or spend the money on an education really, really want their folk intuition to rule the day rather than scientific results.
Yep. So this word Ogden they're physical scars of slow, relentless deformation. And they're real common in these rocks that I showed you here, this picture that I showed you. These bed crystals. There's a whole bunch of them that you can look at. This is kind of classic nice. This one is a really good one. That one. You see that all over the place. It's got these folded crystals in them. There's a ton of it. So we got lots of evidence. Oh, here's another beautiful one. Oh no, I already had that one up, didn't I? Oh, it's so boring. It's so boring. Anyway, let's see what else. Porphyroclast. Boy, is that hard to say. Why is that? Can you say that really fast? Porphyroclast? Oh, now I can say it. A large mineral grain, most commonly feldspar, that has been mechanically and chemically reshaped inside a metamorphic rock.
So I have never said porphyroclast ever in my life.
Porphyroclast.
I've never used it in a sentence or out of a sentence.
Have you ever said it 10 times really fast?
Not something I've ever said.
You should say it 10 times really fast, Scott, just for practice. For your trumpet. That would be a good practice for your trumpet.
Saying porphyroclast? I can't do that.
Porphyroclast 10 times really fast. Okay. structurally, Ogden show three things simultaneously. Relative competence, the feldspar grain is harder than the surrounding matrix, so it deforms less. Ductile flow of the matrix, the surrounding minerals bend and wrap around it. That's what mud would do. But they also deform themselves, and that's the key. They're not going to deform themselves if it's just wet mud. Shear direction, the asymmetry of tails can tell you which way the rock mass was moving. And that's how they can tell that basically they can put together the chronology or history of, they can infer the history of a rock formation. You cannot bend the laws of physics, Jim. Let's see, the grain stretches but does not shatter. Mechanically, okay. This makes Ogden geological arrows frozen in stone. So they're kind of important. Now there's one other thing. Let's see, I have I found one paper. Well, I found 20 papers on this flow just in 5 minutes.
Maybe
one of them is deformation.
This guy should have studied the history of rocks instead of the history of geology.
I think so, yeah.
Maybe?
Deformation of fine-grained quartz aggregates by mixed diffusion and dislocation creep. Now they say that they created this deformation apparatus with 0.9 to 1.5 gigapascals. So what the fuck is that? What does that mean? What does that mean? Oh, here's what it means. Up here on the right, I wrote it in. 1 million newtons per square, 1 billion newtons per square meter, 145,000 pounds per square inch, 10,000 Earth atmospheres. That's what they did. And they got the quartz to bend, basically. And it didn't crack, it deformed. And this whole paper tells you the results and all the interesting things that they found. I believe this is their sample in their little machine.
As an aside, a gigapascal is 1 billion newtons per square meter, but a pascal is defined as 1 Newton per square meter. That's the force of 1 Newton, which is about the weight of an apple spread over 1 square meter. So if you take
nice.
The weight of an apple, how many grams that is, and distribute that weight over 1 square meter, and then just do that 1 billion times. I guess it's like 1 apple over 1 billion square meters, or 1 billion apples over the spread over 1 square meter. Either way, that's what a gigapascal is.
Oh, that is great. Thank you for that.
Okay.
And then they show some pictures.
Pressure at sea level is equal to 0.0001 gigapascal, and your car's tire pressure, which they arbitrarily, I don't know what this measurement is. I guess it's 200,000 pascals, is 0.0002 gigapascals.
Yeah.
So you have about 200,000 pascals in your tire, give or take, probably quite a bit. And then that'll help you understand in terms of pascals how much that is. I'm done talking. Hello. Oh, it looks like Mike has muted himself.
No, Nerdy has a question for you. He always asks the really tough questions. You can tell my science audience is paying attention.
I know you really got me on that. I'm going to have to ask my co-pilot here.
Yep. What about the wager of a tire? What is a wager? Well, I guess you made a typo. I'm thinking you made a typo. Anyway, let me go back to this. Go back to that. Okay. We're done fucking around here. But I mean, how do you stop them from saying this over and over and over again? This nonsense.
Because their aim is to convince their audience with which they has to keep on believing, and thus sending in the money for their ministry. So they're motivated to let the
program is made possible
spread.
by the friends and partners.
Sorry.
And so, the thing, how do you reach their audience and say, hey, these guys are spreading misinformation to you? That's the question. And maybe
I'm going to have another talk. I'm going to have another talk with. Oh, I'm sorry, Scott. Jinx.
I was about to say, maybe there is a thoughtful, creative person out there who knows how to appeal to that particular, what do they call it, demographic? People who believe misinformation in order to prop up their faith. Maybe somebody will come up with some way to reach an audience that's willing to be misled.
Yeah. I just want to point out the deep thinkers in our audience, Deconverted Man. What about the wager of tires? It has Pascal's in it. I'm just going to let that one sit there for a while. People would believe in the misinformation to prop up their faith, often don't care unless it comes from a member of their family. Really? Often don't care.
Oh yeah, a lot of times people think in terms of, okay, if I talk about this, or if I believe this, what's my dad going to say? What's my grandpa going to say? They don't want to be shamed by whatever patriarch or matriarch of the family there is.
Yeah, that's a good point. Anyway. Okay, so let's get started with a little bit of this video. I've got a few bookmarks, and then we'll call it a day. And I think I want to clip out this rock part, and it'd be nice to come up with some diagrams. I've got a whole bunch of books on this kind of geophysics and structural geology, and these books are extremely dense and almost impossible to read. I could really use a physics degree when I read them. But they do things like calculate how different sized grains of sand and rock form in a stream bed, and then get buried by sediment, and then get buried by kilometers of sediment or something else, lava or whatever. And then they can trace how they compress, and they can figure out they can infer the history of a rock formation, basically, and tell that it was at the bottom of a stream, went through metamorphosis, and became this particular kind of rock. And every single rock you pick up has an entire story in it that's embedded in it, in these crystals, and in all of those minerals inside the rock. Sometimes the minerals become chemically altered under pressure and heat, and they form a different kind of crystal, and they flow and they bend and they do all of this amazing stuff, none of which a flood can account for. None of that chemistry can be done with a flood. It just does not work. And the other thing is, somebody calculated how long it would take to squeeze the water out of mud, and it was like I think it was like 100,000 years or 10,000 years.
Yeah, that was our good friend Joel Duff.
Oh, okay, Joel Duff.
Yeah, he did. I thought that was a brilliant point that he made.
Yep.
Yeah, if you watch his stuff, and plus he's a Christian, so if you can ever get a young Earth creationist to read that stuff or watch his videos, it's an eye opener. Oh. He also analyzes papers and things like that.
Oh my God, I can't believe I clicked on a Deconverted Man link. I got more strange porn. It was. No, it's a song, Under Pressure.
What's the David Bowie thing?
Yeah. Well, no. What is that? Is it? Oh, that is David Bowie. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, let's go.
Of Creation Today. Welcome to the Creation Today show, where we bring together interviews with experts and solid Bible teaching Your host, Eric Hovind, affirms the ultimate authority of God's Word, the truth of creation,
Oh, what am I?
and
Why am I
why
doing
it
this?
matters to you.
Yeah, I thought we were ending.
Who tries to squeeze millions of years. P. Moreland, Gleason Archer, William Dim.
Oh, wait a
God's
minute.
Word, the truth of creation.
I wanted it at the beginning
and
of this,
why
but
it matters to you.
God damn it, I should have just left it alone. Okay, listen to this.
If you follow or defend the teachings of John Walton, John Lennox, J.P. Moreland, Gleason Archer, William Dembski, Hugh Ross, William Lane Craig, or anyone else who tries to squeeze millions of years into the pages of Genesis, my name is Eric Hovind, and I am lovingly calling you out today. I'm challenging all old earth creationists. See, for decades, we've been told that this is an internal debate, but the consequences have not stayed internal. Faithful Christians warned that abandoning the plain reading of Genesis, the plain truth that's found in Genesis, would be.
Okay, so what do you think is going to be the consequence of abandoning the literal reading of Genesis? That's what we're going to get to.
Become a slippery slope.
A slippery slope.
And sure enough, compromise has happened.
Oh, yeah.
And we are now in a state where the church is confused about marriage. The church is confused about sexuality. The church is confused about gender itself. The church is redefined.
The church got confused because of geology about gender and marriage.
Maybe the church got tired of being wrong.
How did the church get confused about gender looking at rocks and saying that they're millions of years old?
Yeah. Making that connection is pretty wild. But, the slippery slope, you go from listening to what science says about the age of the earth and the processes thereof, then that's going to lead to transgender people in sports.
Yeah, you pick up a rock and you look at it in your yard and you say, oh my God, this rock looks like it's millions of years old, and pretty soon you're humping your dog. I
know, it's a straight line. I could have told you that.
Yeah, but it's a slope. See, you get there, but you get there very fast because it's a steep slope. So this is what all this is about.
Defining what God calls sin and actually calling it love. Ladies and gentlemen, this did not.
Okay. No, when mommy and daddy love each other, that's how you came about, Eric. It's not sin when mommy and daddy love each other and they make a baby. But I think he's confused about that. What do you think?
Happen in a vacuum. It happened when we replaced the authority of Scripture with the authority of secular science. And
what happened when we did that? We got iPhones, cars, AI, rockets,
antibiotics, vaccines, germ theory of disease.
Yep. Making major strides in curing cancer. We got cataract surgery, something that's close to my heart.
Theologians reinterpret the Bible.
I'm thinking that I would rather listen to what science says about a particular issue rather than some guy who doesn't even have a science degree yelping on over a Bible about complicated aspects of reality.
Yep. Oh, let's see.
Bible to protect the prestige of evolutionary time. Today, I'm challenging you.
That was the most stupid statement I've ever heard.
Day.
Yeah, that was a weird one, wasn't it?
Prestige of evolutionary time? Is that what he said?
Yeah. Evolutionary time.
About the measured and demonstrated fact of evolutionary time.
Yeah.
That through multiple areas of inquiry, an old Earth and old humanity is what is shown.
Yep. The whole faith fails.
Whom you will serve. Is it going to be the ever-shifting claims of modern science or the inspired, inerrant word of the living God? No.
Okay. What does God say about COVID? I'm willing to take his advice. Where is it in the Bible?
Yeah, really.
Is that Romans?
That's
Romans 1?
that's the third epistle of ivermectin.
Oh, that's what it is.
No more excuses. No more hiding behind theologians who have built brilliantly complex systems on fatally flawed foundations.
So Eric's going, I don't understand it.
Okay, talking about building brilliantly complex systems on top of fucking failed foundations. That's what young earth creationism is doing all the time. Now, what I said about those crystals bending earlier, I'm sure that one of them has sat down for about a year and come up with some bizarre fucking idea about how that happened because of the flood. I'll bet you $1, Scott. Put a whole $1 on it. Oh my God. What is that? Another link from Deconverted Man. I've just gotten used to this. What I did is I started drinking again, and that's why I can now click on Deconverted Man links without fear. Oh my God.
Yeah, I just make sure I clean all my devices with alcohol before and after I click on a Deconverted Man link.
Yeah. Oh, I could show that picture, but I should do that. Really, don't you think? Except I'm going to show a bunch of other stuff at the same time. Deconverted Man link. Wonderful. Back to, hang on a second.
Oh, don't make the church building sad.
Make the church building sad. Make the church sad again. Okay. I gotta go full screen again.
It's just, I don't know. People just, I guess you have to come to a point where you realize how absurd it is to listen to an ignoramus like Eric Hovind shout and beller. I guess that's a word. You beller out a sound about an ancient book that's just kind of a rewritten version of old Mesopotamian myths, and acting like it should be an authority in our lives other than the authority of being an ancient book. You know, like this is what it was like back in 300 BC, and this is what they wrote about then, and this is how it's different from the mythology of 800 BC. And that kind of thing. But to say it's, it may have things, it may have proverbs and sayings in there that are interesting to listen to, easy to remember. And, maybe we should think about it when we're thinking about the morality in our lives, the moral decisions we make. But authority, I don't think it's really earned that. It's got an unearned status.
I like the malware. Anyway, there's one basic thing behind it. I guess there's two. Supposedly Jesus muttered one line in the New Testament that they quoted Jesus on. I don't know how they did that, but something about that confirmed Genesis. But the real problem is the fall, and we can talk about that a little bit later. And that's real interesting because they have a literal interpretation of the fall, and they do so for reasons. And they can't get around that. And they believe that old earth creationist does away with the whole idea of original sin and the fall and death and all of that stuff. And that literal interpretation of Genesis is a problem. Christians that don't do that, I love them. I mean, I really have respect for them. And I think there's a lot of Christians like that. And I can just let go that, they believe some kind of crazy things about resurrection and all of that, but crazy in my opinion. So anyway. Okay, we're going to get to the guy here pretty soon, I think.
Today, we're going to be tracing the entire millions of years idea back to its source. I want to expose how it crept into the church, who carried it forward, and why so many well-meaning apologists built their ministries on a faulty premise. It's time to recognize that we've been duped by fake science that became fake news that has helped create a fake or false church. Let's begin. Now, if this is your first time tuning into a Creation Today show, okay, I got to admit, you are in for a doozy on this one. I'm your host, Eric Hovind, and our mission here at Creation Today, I believe we've done that many shows. We've covered weeks of small group right there, let me tell you. By the way, I want you to know had a lot. We sit back and we praise God for the opportunity he gives us to confront the confusion of secular thinking and to replace it with the clarity of Scripture. We continue this mission because the gospel still changes lives. We're here because God's word is true from the very first verse, and we're here because millions of people are searching for answers that can only come from the Creator himself, the one who loved us, made us, and calls us to spent decades uncovering the hidden truth about Earth's history. He has spent countless hours digging through the writings of scientists, theologians.
Oh, here's our guest, Terry Mortenson.
Yeah, he sounds like
history of geology. Huh?
He sounds like either he copied off of that Cornelius Hunter guy, or Cornelius Hunter copied off of him, about worldviews in 1860 or whatever.
Yeah, they blame the Protestant Revolution for this.
So maybe they're copying off of each other's homework.
Yeah. Yeah, but they hate Catholicism, so I'm a little confused.
But the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So
yeah,
I guess they're teaming up with Catholic dogma. Maybe the guy's a Catholic.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the bookmark that I'm looking for. Where is the thing I lost that I'm looking for, Scott? That I can't remember what it is. The thing I forgot.
I don't know. But it's probably right under your nose.
Well, there's a thing I forgot that I can't find, and I'm trying to find it.
He's here to help expose the false assumptions, faulty theology, and fake science behind the old Earth movement. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome from Answers in Genesis, Dr. Terry Mortenson. Dr. Mortenson, welcome to the Creation Today show, sir.
Hey, great to be with you, Eric.
I am so thankful for your work on this subject specifically because it is foundational. Let me put it this way. I get reels that I come across my social media feed. I'm always, I get these reels from apologists that I really do love on so many subjects. But then when I hear them answer questions about Genesis, honestly, it saddens me. I grabbed a couple clips to start us off here. I want people to see what I'm talking about. Many of you will recognize these individuals. There's guys.
I bet all these individuals are really saddened when they listen to him too. I mean, to be fair here, Eric.
Guys out there that I respect so highly on so many things, but when it comes to answering this question, it frustrates me. Kent, if you got my clips ready, let's show them the clips.
Does Genesis chapter 1 answer the question?
Did he say Kent? He did.
I'm sure that's
so he's got his dad working for him now as maybe a janitor, and that makes sense.
Could be.
Yeah.
How long did God take to create, and when did God create? I don't think it does.
In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Okay, when did God create the heavens and the earth?
In the beginning. Does it say when? No, it just says in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. You say, whoa, whoa, whoa. What about the days? Well, the days don't begin to verse 3.
So what does the Bible say about the age of the universe? Absolutely nothing. No matter what you believe about the days.
My view has long been that the Bible does not teach a young earth.
The sooner the Christian community gets rid of young earth creationism, the better. This is an embarrassment for the Christian faith that is creating enormous obstacles to Christian belief among scientifically educated people. The universe is not, and the earth is not 6,000 years old. And there's no reason biblically to think that it is. And therefore, we need to really shed ourselves of this as a Christian community.
Did you see Eric's expression? He looked like he was passing. He looked like he was passing a watermelon.
Yeah, smug outrage.
It was something, but
Plus,
I love that last part was pretty right on, right?
Billy Craig has a PhD and teaches at a university or a seminary or something. So he's probably mad about that because Eric has a 6th grade education.
Yep. 12:15. Let's see what they fuck around for a while before they get into it. So let's see if we can rocket ahead a little bit here.
That I read the writings of Christian scholars, apologists, theologians who accept the millions of years, the more that deepened my faith in God's word. So I sure never would have predicted I would be on your program today talking about this.
Well, the world today and people today would look at these men as, look, these are highly educated individuals. I mean, yes, you have your doctorate too. So what is this just PhD versus PhD? Does that seem to be where the debate is at? Today, the Evangelical Society is meeting, and you presented there several times. How are they handled? Is this like a done issue? Like, oh my goodness, why are you bringing that up again? When for us, this is foundational. Like, how is the world treating it today?
Well, I just want to affirm what you said. All those men that you just played clips of, I'm sure they have higher IQs than I have.
Thank you. Oh, all those men that he played clips of, that's the first time I've ever agreed with anything that any of those people have ever said. And I'm kind of worried. Check your email and put the thing on the screen. Okay. Let me check my email and put the thing on the screen. Hold on a minute here. Where am I at? Who am I at? No. We got something else going on here. Or Scott. Ooh, what email?
What?
Oh, you mean my other email?
And put the thing on screen. There's a thing he wants you to put on screen. So
It's not my
I would
email.
get out your bottle of alcohol and cotton swabs.
Yeah, I better take another drink. Okay. Oh, the inverted man. Put the thing on the screen. Oh, nice. I'm working on it. I work hard. What's happening? Oh, okay. What the fuck? Okay, I'm gonna have a little trouble with this one. Oh, oh my goodness. Hovind? Hoover? Is that a play on Hoover vacuum? I don't know. Oh, that's beautiful. Beautiful thing you had me put on the screen there. Thank you. It's a vacuum. Yeah, it's pretty good. Oh, shit. I almost removed it. Add to stage. There we go. Oh, now it's on the stage. What the hell happened there? Okay. Moving on. Let's see what we got here.
They're very smart people, but they don't understand the history of where the millions of years idea came from. They don't understand.
Wait a minute. Pause.
He said, okay, hang on a second before you comment on
that.
that.
Well, I said pause. Why are you interrupting me?
Because I want to warn you that he says they don't understand the millions of the years. I think 35 times in this video or something like that. It's like, this is okay. Go ahead.
Well, okay. If somebody had written on crayon in a coloring book the idea of millions of years, there's still the scientific data that shows the humanity, humans, hominids are millions of years in the past. That the Earth is 4.5 billion years old. That what's a foundational? That the Earth is billions of years old, and epochs and eons or epochs, geological phases of the Earth happen in terms of millions of years. The scientific evidence is what shows it. It doesn't matter where the idea of millions of years came from. We know it's true, and it's become truer and truer and truer every time we've tried to test for it. There's nothing that suggests that the Earth is only 6,000 years old.
Yep. Yeah, and he says this over and over again, that they just don't understand the millions of years. And he has a PhD in geology, and he's going to tell us where the millions of years came from.
If he's claiming he has a PhD in geology, he's lying. It's history of geology.
History of geology. Yeah, I'm sorry, I misspoke.
And I think it's one of those make your own PhDs from Coventry College in the UK.
Yeah.
And those do-it-yourself kind of PhDs, I understand what they do is they help you put together a thesis and then a study program in order to get the skills necessary to create and defend your thesis and everything. But maybe he did study just exactly what he wanted to and didn't seek a complete knowledge of geology.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't think he's ever looked at a rock.
Yeah, and nobody. I was looking at it was a co-pilot result, so do your own research. But mainstream historians have looked at his work and don't see it as much of a contribution. So, in that
Scott,
particular field, yes, sir.
Are you a porphyroklast? Are you a porphyroklast?
I may be like a left-wing porphyroclast.
Okay, yeah, porphyroklast. I can tell. Okay. Warped worldview, man. Warped worldview. Okay, now there's something curious that he said. It's kind of cute how he says this. I like it. Let's see what he comes up.
The key thing is to believe in Jesus, and of course, the key thing is to believe in Jesus. We'll be lost if we don't. But Jesus.
Oh, I think I missed the context here of that. Let me see if I can go back.
Most of them have never read creation science literature or even looked at the biblical text carefully. They're convinced it's a non-issue. The key thing is to believe in Jesus, and of course, the key thing is to believe in Jesus.
So they've never looked at the issue, and they think the key thing is to believe in Jesus. And he said, yeah, of course, the key thing is to believe in Jesus, right? So, I mean, what is the key thing there, Dr. Terry Mortenson? Is it to believe in Jesus, or is it to fight over the fucking age of the earth with your Christian fellows? I think he's a little confused here. The key thing is it's to believe. Of course it is.
We'll be lost if we don't. But Jesus believed Genesis 1-11 was literal history.
Oh, yeah.
So
you got to believe in Jesus, but remember, Jesus believed in a young earth, right? We know that.
Yeah, believe that a first century human with only his religious upbringing and stories to draw on believed it was real and didn't have the tools of science to help him realize, well, and he really never even said anything about how old the earth is. He just said, Adam and Eve, they got married. That's essentially what he said.
Weird Al version of a vacuum. Anyway, the key thing is to believe in Jesus. The other key thing is to believe in Jesus. Nicely said there, buddy. Yeah, he was criticizing them because they say the key thing is to believe in Jesus. And then he thinks about it for a second. And he said, well, the key thing is to believe in Jesus, but you got to believe what Jesus believed, because Jesus believed that he rode dinosaurs. Like Jesus, was out in the desert and it was really hot, and he rode dinosaurs out there. Yeah, there you go. Okay.
Did the apostles, and most evangelical theologians have just completely overlooked that.
Let me look at a couple of players that we have in the world today, the apologists. I want, if you can tell us, where do you think they got their ideas from, and almost help us. And then let's go back to the origin of old Earth. I heard a presentation you did, and I'd love you to share some of that that went to the history of old Earth thinking. So that's where I want to go in our conversation today. But let's start with some of the current players and what they believe. I know we've got guys like a Hugh Ross, who and maybe you could give an example, an individual and an example of what they believe in some of the different variants of one central theme. Mixing old Earth to the Bible is what they're doing.
Yeah. Well, Hugh Ross has been producing books for the last 30 years, convincing Christians to accept the Big Bang, billions of years. Noah's flood was a localized flood in the Middle East. And even although he says he rejects biological evolution and human evolution, he accepts the evolutionist dating methods. So he's got Noah's flood anywhere from 45,000 to 120,000 years ago. He's got Adam before that. And so he's accepted the dating methods, and he's convinced a lot of Christians and theologians like Dr. Wayne Grudem, probably the most influential evangelical theologian in the world. So that's one person. And then you have somebody like,
I can't believe they let this guy out of the
Norm
nursing home.
Geisler, who
yeah. Yep.
I mean, I listen to these guys talk, and they're just like raving lunatics.
Yeah.
Come on, get some reality. I mean, they're trying to make money so bad on this that they're just lying to themselves as well as the people who listen to them and send them offerings. This is like a travesty.
Yeah, they've got a trap. Would it be a trap door belief? They've got this trap belief in their minds that Genesis has to be that way, otherwise the fall doesn't make any sense. And then they got the trap belief in God. So those things have got them so that they cannot see, no matter how much evidence you put in front of them about folding rocks and all the fucking work that's been done. They're just gonna they're gonna hand wave all that away because they have to keep their core belief in this simplistic reading of Genesis. Genesis could have been a really fine poem and had real, remarkable import, things to understand about Genesis, because it tells us something about humanity, and we can get to that a little bit later. But I think Genesis could. I mean, somebody should have rewrote that fucker, because the poet that wrote it was just an ass. I mean, he was like fucking amateur. Must have been some kid scratching on clay tablets or something. But the idea was profound behind it, and I think Genesis tells a profound story about the evolution of humans. So, what do you think of that, Scott? What do you think of what I just said there? I just said something good about the Bible.
I've said good things about the Bible before. That don't bother me.
You have?
Yeah.
I never heard you say anything good about it.
I've never said anything good about young Earth creationism and their use of the Bible.
Oh, okay.
Or fundamentalists and their use of the Bible. But while I don't believe the Bible is really authoritative, it is a reference to a huge hunk of Western history. So you need to understand it, understand the references for cultural relevance, and also to understand these kooky people who seem like they come out of a kind of a fringe town on the edge of the county of Little House on the Prairie or something.
Deconverted man, are you confused about the key thing? It's to believe in Jesus. It's the key thing. The third key is to deny any science. I don't know what the key anymore.
Learn to say no about a million different ways, because that's what they do.
Often say he wrote more books than I've written emails. I mean, he was a brilliant philosopher, but I engaged in conversation with him and tried to get him to think about this. He did not understand where the millions of years idea came from. Not really. And
there it is again. Okay, that's number 2. He did not understand. He didn't get it. He just didn't get it. These guys get it, but
influenced by teaching in Southern Evangelical Seminary, Trinity Evangelical Divinity School, Dallas Seminary, Veritas International University. He helped start some of those schools. He taught in his lifetime probably hundreds of people who went on to become apologists, professional or lay level. Let's see. Well, there's William Dembski, who used to be a leading voice in the intelligent design movement. He kind of stepped out of that for various reasons, which I don't understand. But he wrote a book, Finding a Good God in an Evil World, which was an attempt to deal with the problem of how can you have thousands of feet of sedimentary rocks containing billions of dead things that supposedly lived and died over millions of years before Adam. How can you fit that with the fall? And he had a very bizarre approach. It was like Jesus died before the foundation of the world. And so these animals died before Adam sinned because God knew that Adam would sin. But of course, Jesus didn't die in time, space, history before the foundation of the world. He only died in the purpose and plan of God. But those, if the millions of years is true, then all those, the dinosaurs and all those other critters, they actually died in time, space, history before Adam sinned. So you've got the punishment for the crime before the crime's committed, which is it's flawed. So he's influential.
And guys like a Frank Turek would depend on the work of a William Dembski for that answer, right? So Dembski writes, hey, here's a plausible reason to have death before sin, even though the Bible makes it clear that there's no death before sin. Dembski writes this paper, and now you've got these popularists of the apologetics. They're really using that as their foundation, and their foundation is flawed. Would that be a proper way of understanding it?
Exactly. And Frank Turek has also been influenced by another really influential person, and that's John Lennox in England with that lovely Northern Ireland accent.
Yes.
But he doesn't understand where the millions of years idea came from. And I met John Lennox on two different occasions.
He doesn't get it.
He just has not done his homework on this issue.
Don't get it.
Another person that's really been influential is C. John Collins, who recently retired Old Testament professor. He was the editor for the Old Testament notes in the ESV Study Bible. He has influenced a lot of people, but he's been influenced by John Lennox, and he's been influenced by Davis Young, who is a professor emeritus of geology. You know, we have the Protestant Reformation in the time of Luther and others, Calvin, and rediscovery of the authority of Scripture in dealing with the theological errors and practices within the Catholic Church. At about the same time, you have the development of what we call modern science, of experimental, observational research of the visible world to figure out how it operates. And so Galileo, of course, was very famous in this, and an English philosopher of science, Francis Bacon, and both of them promoted the idea that has become very popular with Hugh Ross and many other people, the two books idea, that you have the book of Scripture and then you have the book of nature, and they're both from God. They're both true, and that is true. But what people got confused about is, what does the book of nature teach? And as science developed and technology developed, and we were seeing the fruit of this modern scientific method of investigating, well, the science of geology was born in the late 18th and early 19th century. And since we were finding success from chemistry and physics, and geology was called a science, well,
geology was called a science. I wonder why they call it a science. So, okay, he's talking about the Reformation, and that was basically dealing with the evil of the Catholic Church, which these guys are going to agree with, right? But somehow the Reformation ushered in this idea of two books, the book of nature and the book of God, basically. And then he says that, our success in this scientific endeavor, looking at the book of nature, led us to then think that we could apply this to things like age of the earth, and out of this was born geology, which he just in so many words said is not a real science. Evil geology, right?
What a turd.
Yeah, so that kind of that summarizes his whole position here, but it's God, these people.
Geologists must be telling us the truth also, and so idea of millions of years came into that subject area.
So this is around the 1790s, 1800s?
Yeah, I mean, there were some people starting to question the biblical chronology before that, but it was really the teaching of the development of geology as a science that really made this idea persuasive to a lot of people.
Well, let's get into that foundation and trace it to where it's at.
Okay, well, one of the key men.
What's an OB? Deconverted man. What is an OB? Do you know, Scott?
I think he means original video, and so I said, you mean the link that's already in the description?
Yeah. Deconverted man. Have you ever heard of the fucking description that I keep writing and spending hours on YouTube, where I have all of the links and I never play a video that I have not linked? Have you ever heard of that? Have you? God damn, you could tell I'm a little bit irritated that nobody looks at my descriptions, because I do not believe in, I don't care how shitty the person is. If I'm going to review their video, I'm going to give you a link to the video. So there you go, Deconverted man. You have not read my description. Yeah, I see. You never do. Goddamn kids today.
And was a man named James Hutton in Scotland.
Here we go.
And he lived in the latter part of the 18th century.
He's
and he studied medicine in the university, took over the family farm after he graduated, but his real love was rocks. And in 1797, he wrote a book, Theory of the Earth. And he speculated, as he looked at his farmland, he could see evidence of wind and water erosion, as the rain hit the rocks, and those sediments would eventually end up in rivers, and the rivers would take the sediments and dump them on the ocean floor. And he could see evidence of past volcanic activity in Scotland. And so he imagined that the rocks he saw on the surface of the earth were the result of slow, gradual erosion that would carry those sediments into the ocean. The internal heat of the earth would harden those sediments over time, and then some convulsion would raise part of the ocean floor above sea level to become a new landmass. And that would begin to be eroded.
the internal heat of the earth hardened those things into rocks. That has a part, but that doesn't explain all of what was happening, right? With the weight of further sediments and pressure and all of that. So you can tell he doesn't know shit about geology to begin with. But here it comes.
Slowly.
Eric's going to pipe up.
And so he made the very famous statement, I can see no evidence of a beginning in the rock record. It's just slow, gradual.
That's not what his famous statement. His famous statement was, we find no vestige of a beginning, no prospect of an end. So he was paraphrasing. I think Hutton did it much more poetically.
Gradual erosion, uplift, new landmass, slow, gradual erosion. And he is considered by modern geologists and historians of geology as the father of modern geology. And these ideas really began to take hold. But Hutton was a terrible writer, and his book was very difficult to understand. He had.
Look at Eric. He's just chomping at the bit.
Long paragraphs, sometimes a whole page was one sentence. And
he can't
so
wait.
Others kind of translated.
He's got a revelation about Hutton. I'm sure of it.
His work to make it more accessible. But do you want me to share a couple statements that he made?
Please do, yes. Okay. And I want to I wanted to talk to you about this ever since a friend of mine, Milt Marcy, wrote a book, The Emperor Who Has No Clothes, Exposing the Hidden Roots of the Evolutionary Agenda. This is the first edition. The new edition looks a little bit nicer. But he gets into James Hutton and talks about his life. And I did not realize why James Hutton invented or came up with old Earth ideas or what was part of his thinking. He was not a...
Why did he come up with that?
Man who loved God and loved the Bible and was trying to live a righteous life. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
It doesn't matter.
Ideas as long as your part data of his thinking
and your model match. That's all that matters. It doesn't matter if you're trying to be a good guy.
I went back a little bit.
He was not a man who loved God and loved the Bible and was trying to live a righteous life. That's for
Oh. Let's just fact check that. Oh shit. Sorry. Should we fact check that? Why not fact check that? We'll fact check that. Okay. Hutton was born in Edinburgh. Edinburgh? I don't know how you say that. The illegitimate son. Oh no. That's off to a bad start. Hang on a second. I gotta get this.
Well, once again, I inquired with Copilot, do your own damn research, people. James Hutton is remembered as a pioneering geologist and not as a religious polemicist, and there's no evidence in the historical record that he was an unrighteous man or that he actively disliked God or the Bible. Here's his background. Hutton was born in 1726, died in 1797. So he lived an entire era of history. He was a Scottish physician, a farmer, and natural philosopher. We know his book from earlier in this video, Theory of the Earth. He lived in 18th century Scotland, lived in a deeply Presbyterian culture. While he did not frame his geological work in explicitly theological terms, there's no record of him attacking Christianity or the Bible. Focus. His writings are scientific and philosophical, concerned with natural processes in the Earth's age. He was not writing against religion, but rather trying to explain geology in terms of observable processes, which is what science does. Okay, how later critics viewed him. Young Earth creationists like Terry Mortenson and others sometimes portray Hutton and other early geologists as rejecting biblical authority. From their perspective, Hutton's embrace of deep time was a departure from Scripture. Historians of science emphasize that Hutton was motivated by empirical observation. SICCAR, point, unconformity, and Enlightenment rationalism, not hostility towards religion. There's no evidence of hostility, unlike outspoken skeptics such as David Hume. Hutton did not publish anti-Christian tracts or denounce the Bible. Labeling Hutton as unrighteous or anti-Bible is a theological judgment, not a historical one. He was a scientist philosopher concerned with geology. He did not write against God or Scripture. His challenges against traditional biblical chronologies. Oh, he did challenge. I'm sorry, I'm reading too fast for my brain. His ideas challenged traditional biblical chronologies, but that does not mean he personally hated the Bible. So shut up with your anti-God, God-hating inferences, Mortenson and Hovind, because like just about everything else you mention, it's untrue.
My friend Gary is stopped over, so that was Gary. Okay. At Sychar Point on the Scottish coast, Hutton identified an angular unconformity, vertical layers of ancient rock overlain by younger horizontal strata. The geometry made it impossible to explain the structure without invoking multiple cycles. Like, if these guys would get their fucking asses out of the Grand Canyon and look at the other rocks in the world, they would see this. I mean, you see it everywhere. So anyway, Scott, you kind of did the same thing. So he did Theory of the Earth in 1995 or 1795. Hutton was a product of the Scottish Enlightenment, moving in circles that included Adam Smith, David Hume. He believed in natural laws, observable causes. You read some of this, right? So where are we here? Why Hutton matters. Earth was young, change was abrupt, explanation was theological. After he did make a change, Earth was ancient, change was slow. And hang on a second. Okay, he did not invent modern geology. He shattered the human sense of temporal importance. Once Earth became billions of years old, human history became a footnote edged on a grain of dust orbiting a mediocre star. And that, whether one enjoys it or not, is the bedrock of modern science. Here we go. So you pretty much read this, Scott, or did you? Okay, Eric Hovind says Hutton was not a man who loved the Bible. Is that fair? No, that's not a fair, historically meaningful conclusion. He was not a biblical literalist. That part is true. He did not treat Genesis as a textbook. He explicitly rejected the idea that the Earth is only a few thousand years old. Here's what we actually know. Hutton lived in the 18th century Presbyterian Scotland, a culture saturated with Christian norms. He was not an atheist crusader, nor was he part of some anti-Christian campaign. He attended church, spoke respectfully of God, and frequently referred to the wise author of nature in his writings.
Hey, I want to step out real quick. My dog is doing some tap dancing, which means I need to take him outside.
Am I repeating what you found?
Not really.
Okay.
Same general conclusion, but my source was Copilot.
Yeah. So his view go ahead. You stepping out? His view resembles what we would now call natural theology or deism. God is a lawgiver rather than a miracle tinker. The real issue is that Hutton loved evidence more than scripture as an explanatory authority for geology. That is what makes him dangerous to the creationist rhetoric. So Hovind's claim conflates two completely different things: emotional or devotional piety, and number one, or two, acceptance of biblical literalism as scientific explanation. Hutton rejected the second. There's no solid evidence that he lacked the first. But whether he loved the Bible in a modern evangelical sense is simply irrelevant to the validity of stratigraphy, erosion cycles, and unconformity. This is a classic genetic fallacy attacking the character or theology of a thinker. And that is Mortenson and Cornelius Hunter's whole goddamn shtick. They're claiming that these couple of thinkers in the 18th century are somehow at the core of what we all believe today about science. He thinks somehow 99% of scientists don't realize where the millions of years came from And what they're actually, the reason they actually believe it is nothing to do with science making perfect sense and fitting together, but rather because Hutton told them to think that way 200 years ago, 225 years ago. Like, for Christ's sake, come up with something better than this. Anyway. Oh, so I always get the etymology from Old English. There you go again. Old English. Fager, meaning fair. See, they don't even talk right, the fucking English people. Something wrong with them. Hutton did not interpret the Bible as literal geological authority and favored natural processes over scriptural explanations. So no, Hutton did not love the Bible is not a fair assessment.
Just not
here
fair.
We got some more.
We're back.
Yeah, we're back. Okay. So I'm ready to go. Ready to hear what else we have to say about everything. But I mean, I don't know if you heard anything I said, Scott, but it's just this bullshit that my thinking today, right? What I know about geology and physics and biology, that it's all based, according to Cornelius Hunter and this wanker, it's all based on something that people said 225 years ago. That my thinking came from them because they were angry with God or not God-fearing or whatever. That's why I think the way I think. This is just such a bullshit thesis. And these guys have written books, both of them, Cornelius Hunter and this wanker. So anyway.
I put a quote out way back when in the at 2:04 p.m. Historians like Martin Rudwick and James Secord show that the concept of deep time developed through careful fieldwork, fossil studies, and stratigraphic analysis, not simply philosophical imposition. So remember those two names, Martin Rudwick and James Secord, and look up their work to try to get a probably a more accurate and balanced view of the history of geology, because to me it's obvious. He got his degree in math, got his MDiv, and then got his PhD in order to have street cred or whatever, or academic cred for an already reached conclusion that young Earth creationism is true, and the scientists who began to shift to an older Earth than was previously thought about were evil and against God and hated the Bible. It's his preconceptions that are guiding him, not the 19th century preconceptions guiding us.
Yeah. Let's maybe spend a moment here talking about the fall, because you are light years ahead of me on understanding this stuff. But my ideas come from sort of a Ellen Watts kind of reading of Genesis, basically, that they're the fall, which is what they're really pissed off about. You know, we had that Adam and Eve right here, and then 2 weeks later, so there were like 2 weeks here. Was that it? Is that how long they lasted with the tree?
It doesn't really say. It's a myth. So you're getting a story, not a novel. You're getting a short bedtime narrative, right, before you drift off into La La Land, and so they don't give you details like that. It's a freaking myth.
Yeah. But the idea of the fall, okay, so what do they call the tree? Where does this tree of knowledge come from? Tree of good and evil, and where's that from? Is that Genesis? You know what I'm talking about? The tree of knowledge and something else.
The tree of knowledge of good and evil. And yeah, it's just a symbolic focal point in the story. Right. So, yeah.
Yeah. So and the Ellen Watts interpretation is that, basically hominids, started putting on brain. And at some point, we ended up with this self-reflection, where we could look at ourselves basically. And so we started looking at ourselves, and we realized that we were going to die. That was where death was invented. Like, your average raccoon does not know he's going to die. Your average cat does not know he's going to die. They don't think about it. It just never enters their brains. But humans, chimpanzees may, I think there's some controversy over whether they understand it or not. I think they might. But we all of us humans, if we're watching TV, we can look at every character on the screen, and we can be absolutely sure that every one of those characters are going to one day take their last breath, and so are we. And that is that horrible idea that all of a sudden, not only are we going to die, but we know it. And I think that is the fall, and that's what Genesis was talking about. That's kind of a beautiful way to look at it. And the other thing is that we understand sin. We understand that we can do wrong and evil in the world, right? So we have this self-reflection that gives us sin. Basically, we can feel guilt. We can feel, oh, I wish I had done that, some other way. So, what the hell is it? Oh my God, why can't I think of the word? Contra. Oh my God, my brain is going. Anyway, so all of this stuff happened at this point in time where humans basically acquired this self-reflective ability, and that changed us forever. That gave us the possibility of doing moral deliberation, to think, should I do this? It looks like I should do this, or I want to do this, but should I do this? They learn about the inevitable, by experience. Yeah, I remember when I was 6 years old, or 5 years, I think it was 5 years old, and I was sitting on a curb in South Grove, Minnesota, northern Minnesota, and I had realized that day that I was going to die. And I sat there for an hour pondering that and really being upset about it. And I remember my twin sons, when they first realized they were going to die, and I couldn't get them to bed for 4 nights until I lied to them and told them that, oh, medical technology is going to solve the problem by the time you're old enough to die. And then they said, okay, Dad, and they went to bed.
Yeah, because kids aren't really equipped to understand time.
Yeah, it's a tough.
They think everything's immediate and about to happen.
Yeah, but the neat thing is that event for me, that hour that I spent on the curb in South Grove outside Clint Iverson's house, looking down the road at Shawnee Hilligard, who I lusted after at 6. That moment, and that moment that my sons, had this revelation and they couldn't sleep for 3 nights. That was the fall. That was their fall. That was it in real time, watching the kid come to that realization and have to deal with that very heavy burden of having knowledge of good and evil and death. And that was where death was invented. Does that make sense as a metaphor for the Genesis?
Well, yeah, it's a decent enough metaphor.
Yeah, I thought so. I like it. Anyway, we deal with that all of our lives. I mean, it takes us our entire life to wrap our minds around death. We spend a great deal of time, too much time, thinking about it, sort of thing. What was this? I'm not sure what this was. It was used very commonly.
The phrase "fine as frog hair."
Fine as frog hair?
Yeah, apparently it inspired Brian to do a little etymological research.
Fine as, I'd never heard that one. I looked it up. 1865. Wow. Fine as rook. Oh my.
Oh, time to take your medicine.
Yep, more eye drops. Oh shit. Anyway,
people
Oh no, I actually have a stream I got to be on. That's what this alarm is for.
Oh, you're going to be in a stream?
In 30 minutes, I got to be in another kind of stream.
Damn, you're
So
just
everywhere,
aren't you?
I got to go look them that up. This is a psychedelic spirit stream of some kind.
Cool.
That I want to join this time. So anyway, so we're going to have to wrap it up here. How far am I? Let's see. I'm at 27 minutes out of an hour and 20 minutes. We did pretty good, Scott.
We did real good. And this just makes me want to warn everybody, anybody who might possibly hear this, if a creationist or an intelligent design proponent tells you anything, quotes you anything, don't believe it. They're probably lying. At least they're projecting their feelings or ideas onto you. So just research everything. Usually a 1 or 2 minute Google session or AI session will clear it up, but you can also look up papers. You can look up online resources like Wikipedia or Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy, which is an online book, and you can find things out and realize they are probably wrong at just about everything they say. That's not prejudice. That's just out of experience. These people are so outrageously wrong so many times that it's sad that we can't convince their audience about how wrong they are.
I was trying to get rid of the. The thing is that they don't have the imagination to reimagine what Genesis is actually about. I mean, they have to read it like they read it like a 3-year-old or 5-year-old, and they don't have the imagination to look outside of it. But it's more than that. I think it's a power play, and it's a money play for a lot of them. It's money grubbing because they're going to get donations. But it's also some kind of a power play against what they consider the secular world. The secular world is dripping with science, and they can't fucking stand it. Yet, if one of them basically gets a persistent cough, what are they going to do? They're going to run to the doctor, and they're going to rely on that secular world to solve the goddamn problem for them.
Some of them might turn to their preacher and their rattlesnakes to find a
but
cure.
look at Rebecca, Bread of Life, with that smug look on her face. So she's got this idea that she sees the truth and nobody else sees the truth. And it's the same as MAGA people with the fake news. We got the real news. You don't have the real news. And I'm sure some, people on our side do the same goddamn thing, without ever analyzing their views and without founding their views in facts, which is what we need to do. But it's really an odd thing to have this belief trap. They have this, or belief dam. Belief becomes like a dam, and nothing can get by that dam. No amount of reason, no amount of evidence is going to get by them. And it's all over something that Eric Hovind and this guy just admitted. A whole bunch of other Christians disagree with them on this bullshit. William Lane Craig, he said it really well. Young Earth creationism is an embarrassment and it's a problem for Christianity. And we need to stamp it out. So it ain't just an atheism versus Christian thing. It's a little deeper than that.
I don't know if it's unconscious or not, but I think what Rebecca engages in is a bit of dramaturgy. She has that "fuck you, I know what's right, you don't" attitude, and that's what the audience wants to see in order to feel better. Somebody saying those evolutionists are wrong with with a strong, confident, maybe even a playful, mocking attitude, because that's effective rhetoric. And so, Rebecca may just be kind of molding herself into that role because that's what the audience wants. So they, give to her Patreon or whatever they do. And, it just kind of feeds in on itself.
I don't think she does it for money. It's an innate lack of humility is what it is, right? I mean, these are people who don't understand the first thing about humility. And they can't look at I have tried my damnedest to look at their views and understand them, and they just, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I guess I lack humility a bit too, but we got to get out of here, Scott. I'm running late. So, you ready? Thank you, everybody in chat.
Yeah, thank you for coming and for engaging with us and for your funny remarks and insightful remarks.
Yep. Okay. We're out. Goodbye, cruel world.